Well, good morning, and it is a great day today. Um, there are a lot of things going on in our world, and we feel out of control. And, you know, in a world where we feel out of control, we can get extremely frustrated and agitated. Today on the podcast, I want to talk about 5 things that you can control. Every few months, or every couple of months, I should say, I have to go and change the filters in my air conditioning system, because if I don't change the filter, then there's going to be all kinds of dust and filth and grease and gook that is going to clog up the works. And in clogging up the AC system, then it's not going to work as efficiently, and it's not going to be able to it just isn't going to work the way that I want it to work. And what I think is true, this works in our life as well. We many times have lost, misplaced, forgot to clean or change a few filters in our lives. Today on the broadcast, I want to talk about 5 filters that you need to make sure stay clean and stay installed in our lives. Now, we could talk about 5 things that we can control, and that is true as well, because I have every opportunity to get on the step ladder and change the filters. That's up to me. There's not a service that comes and does that. There's not a person that comes and does that. I can set a reminder in my phone to say, oh, hey, by the way, it's time to change the filters. One of the things that I've learned to do is I write on the edge of the filter that I can see if I look up in the grate, and it tells me the date that I installed it, so that I remember that, hey, it's been 90 days. It's time to change that thing. Everything about what's going on in our world today sure seems out of control. And you've got economies out of control. We have people out of control. We've got all kinds of banter going on in the Twitter world amongst everybody. We just feel like we just can't control anything. And so today, let's talk about 5 things you can control. I want to give you a moment of peace and reminder that, hey, these 5 things are completely under your control. These 5 things, you have complete control. Now, I'm already going to suggest to you that there's going to be a couple of these things that you may not remember that you have control over, because sometimes we are living life without some filters that we should have installed. So this may be a little challenging, but I want us to know that in a world that's out of control, you can be in control. And that comes from a power not of ourselves, and yet in some ways it is a power within yourself. So let's talk about these things. All right, here's the first one. You ready? The first thing that you have absolute control over is your attitude. Your attitude. That's exactly right. This can make or break your day. When we get up, I know that we've just moved into a routine of things that, we've seen the jokes, we've heard the jokes, we've seen all these things. Hey, don't talk to me until my coffee has been drunk. Don't mess with me until blah, 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 or whatever. And we've just morphed into this reality that I don't have control. We've abdicated our control over our very attitude. And the reality is you have a choice. Now, the thing is, we've been taught to believe, we've been patterned to believe that all of the outside exterior things that come in that are bringing stimulus into me, that I have reaction to. And so we say, well, I just can't help myself. And the reality is you can. You have complete control. Your attitude when you get up can set you up for a great day. And your attitude when you get up of a morning can also set you up for fear. It can set you up for failure. It can set you up for defeat. And this is important for us to remember, that you have the choice to make. You can wake up grumpy and you can just, leave a wake of dead people in your path on your way to the coffee pot, or you can wake up and have a better attitude. I'm not saying that you've got to be roses and sunshine when you wake up in the morning. Lord knows that I'm not that way either. However, it doesn't mean that I have to be hateful to those around me before a certain part of the day. And that's part of the situation. Now, some of you that are morning people are like, that's exactly right. And those of us that are night owls are like, I hate the mornings. Well, here's the reality. It's not about morning and night. It's not about daytime and nighttime. It's about a choice. We choose to be in a foul mood, and we choose to be in a good mood. We want to blame our mood on our environment. We want to blame, well, you don't know the commute that I had to work today. You don't know the night that I had. You don't know. It doesn't matter. Doesn't mean you have to be in a foul mood to everybody else. And we'll touch on that in another one of these in just a moment. But your attitude when you get up, is it an attitude that today's going to be a good day? Now, I'm not talking about power of positive thinking, although I think there's something to that. What kind of attitude am I going to get up? Do I get up and go, woe is me, and we Eeyore our way through the day? Or are we going to get up and go, you know what? I'm going to find the best in whatever's going on. I'm going to find the good in what is happening. I'm going to see that, and I'm going to choose to have a good attitude. Your actions are not going to control my attitude, and that's an important learned behavior. That's a maturity issue, that I'm not going to let your actions control my attitude. I'm going to be in charge of my attitude. I'm going to be in charge of my responses. Very important, very critical filter that needs to be installed, because you have the power to install it. Well, here's the second one. Number two, we have the ability to completely control the words that we use. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the words that we use. These can also make or break our day. You know, many of us grew up with moms that would tell us, count to 10 before you say anything. You know, and as silly as that may seem, there's some truth to that I need to put a pause button on my mouth before I speak. I need to think before I speak, before I put words out into that relationship, before I put words out into that conversation or argument or heated discussion. I need to learn to choose to respond instead of reacting. Now, there's a big difference. The difference is that sense of distance. If I react to something, I have a stimulus coming in, and immediately I respond. You know, but if I react to it, but if I'm going to respond to something, I have a stimulus that comes in, and then I give myself time. And then I make a decisive response as how I want to respond. We need to learn how to do that. We need to be thinking about, how will my words affect others regardless of my intent? I mean, I've been guilty of this. Sometimes I speak before I think, and I've had that happen in my life, and I have to come back and apologize and realize, and I'm honest about that. It's like, look, I didn't intend for those words to create that situation. That wasn't my intention at all. I didn't intend to hurt your feelings. I didn't intend to make you feel however it is that you're feeling. That wasn't my intention. However, if I choose to filter my words, if I choose to control my words, then there may be times where you just need to be silent. Didn't many of us also grow up with this statement as well? If you've got nothing good to say, That's right. You've already finished it, haven't you? You say nothing at all. That's exactly right. You see, whether your words are spoken, which for half of our population today, that's the only option we ever had, really. Today, you can text your words, you can email your words. And let me tell you something, the texted and emailed words can be taken out of context so quickly. In fact, whether your words are spoken, texted, or emailed, it can change your life instantly. Instantly, it can change your whole life, and you can be changed instantly. And so this proverb that Lincoln made famous, but this proverb I think is very true. By proverb I mean it's in the book of Proverbs. It's better to be silent and thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Think about that. Think about that. See, so many of us have such self-esteem problems that we'll run off at the mouth just in hopes of somebody hearing something that we've said, and because we don't want to look or feel foolish. But the reality is you'd be better off to be silent and thought a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. We've got to be careful with our words, and that's something that we have control over. You know, we don't have control over COVID. We don't have control over our kids growing up and leaving the house. We don't have control over our health at times. We don't have control over all the junk that's going on. But we can control our attitude, and we can control our words. And we need to be careful with what we say. We need to measure our words so that we can do the best we can to not adversely affect other people. Words can make or break your day. Attitudes can make or break your day. All right, so we've talked about our attitude filter that we have control of changing. We've talked about the words that you have complete control over. What's number three? Number three is manners. That's right. You have control over your manners. I think a lot of us have lost this filter. I think a lot of us feel like I have a filter measurement that I can't find in the stores any longer. And so we've just thrown our manners out the window. And it's as if nobody is even trying anymore. But manners always matter. Manners always matter. And that is so critically important for us to realize. It doesn't matter. We don't need to excuse the young and say, well, they haven't learned it yet. We don't need to excuse the old and say, oh, well, you know, that's just how they are. No, you've got control over your manners, and you don't have to be a rude heifer and a rude cow. You don't have to be rude like that. That's not true. You don't have to be. We choose to be because we don't care. We've moved into a position in our society today that we don't care. Well, I don't want to be friendly, so I'm not going to be friendly. Well, I don't want to be nice. Well, I don't like them. Well, too bad. Manners still matter because somebody's always watching. Somebody's always watching and going to take what you do and start to incorporate that into their lifestyle. The way I feel about it doesn't mean that I have the right to be rude about it. Have a discussion. Don't have an argument. You can be constructively critical without being cantankerous. And we have to learn how to have manners again. One of the shows that my wife got me to watch years ago was Downton Abbey. And I always loved watching that show. But maybe I'm sick and twisted. I don't know. But I loved Granny on that show, Grandmama. And you know, and that may not be the greatest example today, but the reality is they would say things, but they would do it with a manner about them and a form about them. But at the same time, they could be very critical. And we got to be careful. You know, I laughed and I thought it was funny, but at the same time, we've got to be aware that manners actually matter. It makes a difference in our world. Think about it this way. Maybe not Emily Post kind of manners, okay? But think about it this way. The manner in which you live, not manners such as yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir, please, and thank you, all those Those are very important, and we've lost sight of them today. But think about it this way. The manner in which you speak makes a difference. It matters. The manner in which you act, it matters. The manner in which you think, it matters. It makes a difference. Yes, thank you for that. That's words are like bullets. Once they leave the gun, it's too late to bring them back. That's so true. Whether it's my attitude, my words, or the manner in which I'm living my life, it is very much like that. I can't just stuff it back in. I've got to be careful in what I say and what I do. And here's the thing. I can't control the sun going up and going down, but I can control how I have an attitude about it. I can control what I say about that. I can control the manner in which I speak, act, and think. I can do better because I've been pre-wired by God with the power to handle those things. You can handle it. You have the controls over these things. And so instead of focusing on all the things that are out of control and that you have no control over, let's focus on the things that we do have control over, because here's the thing. These 5 things, if we would take control and take ownership over, and we would do them right, would actually start to change the world. You, from where you are, can change the world if we would start putting in these 5 things and doing them right in a way that they need to be done. You have control. You have complete control over these things. What are you going to do with it? And that's the question. What are you going to do with it? What am I going to do with it? All right. Well, we've talked about attitude, and we've talked about words, and we've talked about manner or manners. You can take it either way that you want to take that. Number 4. We have control over our actions. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You have control over your actions. The devil didn't make you do it, JJ. And we've got to realize that you have control over your actions. The devil may have tempted you to do it, but you made the decision. You made the choice because you've got the control over your actions. How you acted in that moment, or how you reacted in that moment, is completely under your control. You have complete control whether you have integrity or not. If you're a person who lives up your word means something, your word is your bond. You made a promise. Did you live up to it? Now, do we fail? Yes. Have I failed? Yes. Have you failed? Yes. We've all failed at this. But the reality is we have the control over whether we do that or not. We have control over our actions. Now, we want to abdicate this responsibility so much. We want to blame it. And social psychology is teaching us to blame what I'm doing on something else. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Yeah, it is. Did you do it? Your fault. Oh, no. My daddy never told me he was proud of me, so that's why I act like the fool. No, that's not why you act like the fool. You act like the fool because you chose to act like a fool. Well, you don't understand my boss and how they've treated me. Hey, I've had horrible bosses and I've had good bosses. The reality is how I choose to act is up to me. I have dealt with things just like you have. And the reality is you have a choice. Am I going to have integrity or not? Am I going to have fidelity or not? Am I going to be an honest person or a liar? You have the choice. Am I going to act and behave properly or not? And for me to sit, or for any of us to say, it's not my fault. No, it's somebody else's fault. Well, that's just a sad state of affairs because it's a lie. Somebody's lying to you. You have the power to choose. Put actions behind those words. Realize that everything you do, you made a choice to do. Now, you may have turned your brain off and not thought about it before you acted. You may have even bought into the belief system that it is somebody else's fault for why you're acting this way. Well, it's the neighborhood I grew up in. It's my family. It's my dysfunctional family I grew up in. I was beaten as a child. I was left for dead as a child. I was orphaned. I was adopted. I was hated. I was ridiculed. I was made fun of. You still have a choice to make. If a 4-year-old is out of control, I'm going to give them a pass. But you know what? When you're 14, 24, 44, and 84 and you're still acting that way, you don't get a pass anymore. You have the ability to choose. So choose. You can be in control of these things. Yes, you can be in control. In an out of control world, you can control how you act in it. You can control the attitude you have about it. You can control the words that you're putting out on Facebook about it. And by the way, would you please, please, please double check to make sure that what you post on Facebook is actually true? In this moment in time, I am finding so many false things being purported. And we're not even checking it anymore. A great website that you need to check out is Snopes, SNOPES.com. Before you post what you want to post, because maybe it's your flavor of politics, maybe it's your flavor of democracy, maybe it's your flavor of belief system, let's make sure it's accurate and true. Fact check yourself before the public does and then thinks poorly of us. Fact check that. Make sure that what you put out, because you know what? Some friends of mine I've seen putting out some things that aren't true, and it was too easy to fact check it. Our actions play out even in that choice that we're making. We have the power to choose. I can choose to take 5 extra minutes before I just let my anger and my emotion run away with me and I just start typing and posting stuff. Put a filter on it. Put a filter on it. Beyonce wants you to put a ring on it. I want you to put a filter on it. All right, so here we go. Number 5, efforts. Efforts. You have control over your effort. Did you try your best? And only you can answer that. Did you give it your all? Did you try your best? I had the opportunity for several years to coach Little League baseball and Little League softball. As my kids were coming up and playing in city leagues, I had the opportunity to coach. And one of the things that I always tried to instill in them, did you try your best? Now, I like to win. And anybody that knows me knows I like to win. The problem is I'm not going to win at any cost. I'm not going to be like Mike in those moments. I'm not going to win at any cost. I'm going to win, and we're going to work hard, and I'm going to work your butt off to get you there. But the reality is simply this. Sometimes you lose. Here's the question. Did you try your best? And I would ask them a lot of times after the game, did you try your best? Did you give it your all? Now, it doesn't mean that by giving your all that you're going to win every time. You're not. Sometimes you're just going to lose. It's just going to happen. But did you put out the effort? And here's the deal. When we would have practice after the weekend games, we'd come back to practice. It's the same thing. Are you going to give me your best, or are you going to not? And that's the question. That's the question. Did you try your best? Because what I have discovered is so often we get into a losing mentality, and so we stop trying. We throw our hands up in the air and we say, well, it doesn't really matter because it's not going to make any difference. But I'm telling you, it is going to make a difference. Oh, it may not make a difference in the City League tournament, but it's going to make a difference when you're out in the workforce. Did you try your best? Did you give it your all? It's going to make a difference in life. It's going to make a difference in your marriage. Are you giving half action, or are you giving full activity? Are you going to give your best? Are you going halfway or all the way? Your marriage it'll make a difference in your marriage. It'll make a difference in your parenting. Are you giving it your best effort? Or are you phoning it in? Are you hoping that Android and Apple can entertain your kids long enough, or are you going to parent your kids? Grandparents, same thing. Are you giving it your best, or are you not? I mean, are you trying to be in that relationship in your grandkids' lives? Or are you just hoping that they're going to remember you even though you never took time to actually be in your grandkids' lives? And did you try your best? Your effort, specifically in challenging moments like this, the effort that you put out during challenging times, that will build your character. Are you going to give up? Or are you going to get up and get busy and do something? Proverbs 24:16 says this, every time a man falls, he gets up. The wise man who falls will get up. We've heard it said, fall 6 times, get up 7. That's kind of a statement that you've heard in those motivational areas and arenas of life. We need to put our effort into things that matter. Fail forward. Yeah, we're going to fail. It's going to happen. We're going to fail. Abraham Lincoln didn't win every election, and Michael Jordan got cut his sophomore year. But the reality is they've become great icons in their industry. Why? Because they failed forward. They didn't fail and quit. They failed forward. Find the lesson that we're supposed to learn in whatever it is that we're going through. Maybe you've lost your job. Maybe your kids are acting weird. Maybe this COVID has really got you really discombobulated. I don't know, but whatever challenge you're in, find the lesson. God, what is it that you want me to know? God, what is it you want me to understand? And realize that I need to put my effort into the things that matter. Put my effort into the things for God, not for my glory and not for my attention. Put the things in for God. 5 things in an out of control world that you can control. You have the ability to control your attitude and your words and your manner and your actions and your effort. You have complete control over that. And I believe it makes or breaks every day you live, whether or not you have installed the proper filters in these places. It will make or break the relationships you have. It will make or break the job that you're holding. It will make or break everything. It changes everything. Hey, thank you all for being with me today. I so enjoyed seeing the comments coming in, and good morning to all of you. Some of you may be new listeners or maybe you're new commenters. Thank you for being with me this morning. I'd love to hear your thoughts or your comments about that today. Maybe I know that this is not an exhaustive list. I'm sure that there's other things that we have complete control over, and I'm aware of that. But I thought these 5 things were important for us to discuss today because it can change us in so many ways. So, yes, good morning to everybody. And I see you and I see your comments. Thank you for being with me this morning. It's a great day. It's a Thursday, so I won't be back until Monday on the podcast. But I hope that you'll tune in to our worship services this weekend. We have an 8 o'clock traditionally blended service, and we have an 11 o'clock contemporarily blended service. I don't know. Anyway, traditional, contemporary. We have 2 options. You know, we live in a diverse world, and we have diversity among our people. And we want to provide for you options for you to be able to worship and worship free of many distractions, free of many options. Hey, you're more than welcome, Barbara. Thank you for. I did not find the answer to your question. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being with me today. It is a joy and a pleasure to be able to give the daily dose during these times, and even after these times, I will continue to do that. I know I've moved from 6 days to 4 days a week, but I trust that you all are able to maneuver with me through that as we just continue to move forward. So have a great day. Stay in control in these 5 areas. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with looking up, getting on our knees, and saying, God, help me. I can't find my filter. Can you help me here? And you know what? He's going to do that. He's going to help you. Well, here I am cheering you on, hoping for you to continue the race, to run the race with full effort, full intensity, make a difference today. That you can do. Hey, you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.